Rhodes Media.
Yo! Super fun 3 days for your Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about it all. But before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all your love. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all your podcasting platforms. So you can take me on the road with you. Who wouldn't want this obnoxious asshole sitting shotgun with you? You know what I'm saying? So if you leave a 5-star rating and a review, that goes a long way as well. And lastly, Coffee with Broads is back every Monday and Thursday morning at 11 a.m. right here on YouTube. We live stream together. We have a cup of coffee. We kick back. It's super fun, super chilled. And the way you get access to it is you join the membership here on YouTube for $4.99 a month, and you also will receive the Discord link where we get to communicate live when stuff's happening. So also another way to interact, and it's been great. Can't thank you guys all enough. All the information is down below in the description. Enjoy the show. I learned 2 things this weekend. One, I got to add Big Pimpin' to my repertoire, all right, because Jalix Hunt, the guy who nobody has ever seen tape on, the defensive end who used to play safety at Cornell, that kid, I mean, he answers the phone and hits Howie Roseman with a, "What up, Big Pimpin'?" I mean, are you kidding me? I love it. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. I've been thinking about it since I heard the damn clip. You haven't heard it yet? Here you go.
Jalix, what's going on, man? It's Howie.
What's up, Big Pimpin'?
Come on, man. What's up, Big Pimpin'? I feel like Jay-Z and UGK. Big Pimpin'. I mean, that's what you got to be listening to if you're Howie Roseman today, as he's thinking about what he did. Snagged Cooper Dejean in the second round, went up and attacked. He was ferocious in that second round to make that move. I thought you'd have to trade up to get Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, utilize some assets, jump some teams, land in the teens, and go get your guy. I would have lived with Cooper Dejean at 22 if you did stay put. You got both! You got both! Now, this reminds me a little of last season because you got Jalen Carter and also Nolan Smith. And that hasn't panned out as well as I would have liked. With that said, I feel better about these 2 cats because at the time of the draft with Nolan Smith, and I'll be honest, I ignored some of the flaws more than I probably should have, but there was more concern on the size of Nolan Smith, on the idea and the ability of Nolan Smith. There was real, legitimate reasons to wonder. I don't think there's a damn reason to wonder for 1 second if Cooper Dejean could ball, if Quinyon Mitchell could ball. Mitchell could be at Alabama, all right? He chose not to go to Alabama, but when Nick Saban is publicly admitting during the broadcast of the draft that I was searching for this kid to be in the portal, in the year 2024, when everyone's chasing a bag, when everyone's worried about the clout, when everything's all about social media clicks and follows, Quinyon Mitchell says, I'm staying right here in Toledo because I have people in my corner that were with me when I needed it. And I'm going to stay with them because they deserve it. I mean, that's outrageous. You don't get that in today's era. I know for a damn fact, if I was playing at Toledo and I knew Nick Saban was calling my name, I'm going to Tuscaloosa. 3 seconds, swear to God. I mean, I'd take off right then and there. What's that? Nick, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. Throwing shit into a bag in 5 seconds. So kudos to him. I think that personality trait goes a long way. And speaking of personality, what I'm excited about, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cooper Dejean, and you have Quinyon Mitchell. You got guys with some swag out there, man. Guys with some confidence. Hungry motherfuckers that are going to make a serious impact. I'm all in, baby. I'm all in. And it does raise the question, does it make you feel weird? And what I mean by that is, Back-to-back secondary? That's not Howie. It's not Howie. Now that we've seen the rest of the draft, though, they attack line late. They go to Michigan, Trevor Keegan. How about the North Carolina State center in Dylan McMahon? I think what it tells you, though, is they like Tyler Steen. We've been somewhat just dancing around Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen played at Alabama. He could be on this line. And Landon Dickerson, Mailata secured. Cam Jurgens solidified. Lane Johnson, who's your daddy, what's he do? And then you got your right guy like Tyler Steen. Maybe it shows a lot of confidence in the kid. But the reason I bring up that it's different is because this franchise has valued trenches more than anything else in any other position. And the fact that their first two picks and their second round pick, they're going aggressively up from the 50s to 40 and perfectly read by Howie. All right, let's not act as if he didn't jump over Green Bay. Green Bay was probably pissed. Because Cooper Dejean's a first-round talent who's slipping away in the second round. And if you watch the draft board, the time Howie made the move, the room was cornerback. You read the room perfectly because a big wave of DBs started to fly. That's insanity. It's what it's all about. Is making sure you're patient and making sure you're aggressive at the right times. You could have panicked in round 1 and at 22 jumped up to 17, gave away another asset because you're not reading the draft board right, and now you're pouncing to go get Quinyon Mitchell at 17, 18, something like that, when you could have got him at 22, saved some of your second round picks, and then moved up to get Cooper Dejean and jump up in front of teams that wanted to get him at 40 or 41. If you're Green Bay, then they trade back. That's savviness at its finest. And it's also savvy as hell to trade a 4th-round pick in this year's draft for a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft. Howie's a machine. There's just no other way to put it. Every time the Eagles are on the clock, ... It's like, no, they're not. They don't select until proven otherwise because they're probably going to trade back and then gain all these assets and then do it all over again next year. It's just hilarious. It's hard to be angry with what they came out with, though, in these 3 days. But anyway, getting back to sort of the normalcy of Eagles football, it's trenches, it's O-line, it's D-line. That's what they do. And they didn't do it this year. Is this Howie Roseman tweaking his philosophy? Is this him going outside the box? Is this him, as I mentioned, reading the draft board right? Is this him reading the current roster right? Where we don't need X, Y, and Z, so we actually have the ability, due to putting a lot of stock into O-line in previous years, getting Cam Jurgens and Landon Dickerson when everybody claimed it was a luxury because you have an Isaac Seumalo, or you have whatever, you have some of the guys on your line already, but now you're picking these top picks from Alabama, from big-time schools. Let's see how they can develop over a year or two. You picked luxury picks in previous seasons, which then allows Howie to have more wiggle room now. Look, it's definitely different, and there's no world where I thought that you'd be getting back-to-back secondary pieces like this. With that said, I don't think they threw away their love for the trenches in the trash by any means. I might not agree that they have the best talent in the trenches, but they still believe and put a lot of stock in the trenches. They think Nolan Smith could play. They think Bryce Huff can duplicate what Hassan Reddick did. They paid Josh Sweat to keep him happy and have him here. Brandon Graham, of course, is coming back for his last season. So they put stock into it. I just think they're overvaluing the players. They believe that they're probably 3 to 4 times better than what I'm saying, but that doesn't mean that they're not putting a bunch of emphasis on it. I just deem the players to not be as skilled as they do. And then with the O-line, it speaks for itself. I know that they believe in protecting the quarterback, so there's no fear of mine that they all of a sudden don't believe in it when you go pay Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson what you pay them. When you've been drafting the replacement of Jason Kelsey for the last 15 years, they're definitely putting stock into it. So I don't know if it's necessarily changing philosophy, changing blueprint. I mean, it wasn't just the draft. You pay Saquon Barkley. That's not normal. You go back and you pay C.J. Gardner-Johnson after you admitted that he wasn't worth the money at the time. He goes to the Lions. Then you bring him back and say we screwed up. This is very out-of-the-box stuff for Howie. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing by any means. I mean, just like we talk about with development in players, you have to grow. You got to go through experiences. You lose reps in practice. You lose reps in games, and you go back to the tape and you study what can we do differently next time. So when I'm in a similar situation, when it's the third quarter, we need a stop, it's third down, I'm not going to get beat again the same way. I'm going to win and take the advantage here. I mean, same applies to Howie Roseman from a general manager standpoint. He's not perfect. He's at the top of the league as one of the best and one of the creative minds here to do some things that are just unreal. But he does make mistakes, and I wonder if he realized, look, last year we got up there in age with corners. It's not as if they devalued the cornerback position. It was how they got the corners in years past that wasn't this, right? I mean, there's a reason why everyone and their mother thinks about Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown the moment you get two corners is because it's been 20-plus years since you've seen them select that in the first round. But also, going back to the trenches, right? Defensively speaking, they spent 2 first-round picks on the D-line last year. They picked Jordan Davis the year prior to Jalen Carter. So your defensive tackles and replenishing a Javon Hargrave and a Fletcher Cox. Once again, Jordan Davis might not be as good as they think he is. I'm not saying that he's toast yet by any means. I wish he was farther along than he is, but it doesn't mean that he can't still pop. And Jalen Carter is a workhorse, and he's a game wrecker for sure. He's going to be at the top of the league at the defensive tackle position. They've put a bunch of stock into it. They haven't broke down from there. If it gets to a point where I'm starting to get angry, where I think they're getting away from that and they're getting away from their bread and butter so much and they're starting to pluck away at other positions instead, then maybe I can start to criticize heavily, but I'm just not there yet. And also keep in mind, there's more than one way to build a team. There is. And I actually had a caller on my overnight shift last night bring up Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd and discuss how, recently the era of Eagles football has been a bit wonky with drafting corners and obviously in the first round it just hasn't happened. But if you look at the tenure since Jeffrey Lurie got the team in 1994 in the mid-90s, the recent screams, they don't love it in the first round and draft, but the Jeffrey Lurie ownership era, they do appreciate it more than maybe we remember, if that makes sense. And I think that's fair. So just an awesome couple of days here. Really excited for what the Eagles have done. I think they snagged some great value. Of course, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in the 5th round. Super fun for the fans. Super fun for value. Just like a linebacker. You know what I mean? It's just a linebacker. And yeah, there's deficiencies. Look, he's a 5th rounder, right? What we can't do is put this name on him. We did it with Kayvon Wallace as well, and this is going to be probably a little bit different because of his father being the one and not so much Brian Dawkins, safety at Clemson. We put the tie there just because of the position in the school. Here, there's actually blood, all right? There's the bloodline we're talking about. Acknowledge me. I don't acknowledge the tribal chief, so I apologize. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out WWE once in a while because you're missing out on greatness. But I digress. I'm just going to say, go be you. All right, I'm not going to say anything close to you got to have that level of production. No, you don't. He's a 5th-round pick. I'm going to treat him just like any other 5th-round pick. But I think the hunger is going to be there. The excitement's going to be there. And it's at a position where it's not as if you have to go beat out A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a wide receiver trying to earn his way into this. You know what I mean? There is a position that is a little bit open. I don't know what Devin White is. I have no idea what Nakobe Dean is. And it's a lot to just just expect someone to walk in as a rookie 5th-round pick to go be a stud linebacker, but I think he's got good instincts. I think he understands the position. He's got some flaws, whether it's in coverage, whether it's the speed, whatever. You can just see it. Like, he lacks here, he lacks there. It's a 5th-round pick. I mean, there's a reason why he's not a 2nd, 3rd-round pick, 1st-round pick, 5th-round pick. It's worth a flyer. It's exciting, and I'm rooting for the kid very heavily. It got me in my feels when I saw a bunch of the news and a bunch of the interviews with Jeremiah Trotter himself and what it would mean for his son to put on this Eagles jersey. So, just like anybody else, I'm getting super pumped up about it. I started the show off by saying I learned 2 things this weekend. One was that I need to work in Big Pimpin' more. The second, which I don't even think is funny at this point since I waited 15 minutes, so I'm an idiot. But you don't put buffalo wings in your book bag while going to work. Because when I tell you these beats right now, just reek of my boneless wings that I didn't even eat at 3 a.m. during my shift, thinking, oh yeah, I'll bring food and prepare. Get the hell out of here. I eat tasty cakes that are on the wall at WIP. I stuff my face with honey buns, crimpets, this and that. Oh yeah, I'm going to eat the salad and boneless wings at 4 o'clock and dive in. What an absolute jerk off I am. So right now, every single breath I take, every single whiff up the nostrils, it just smells like buffalo sauce, a little sticky on the sides. I'm scrubbing it heavily. Those were my 2 things I learned this weekend. Whatever. In the 4th round, they draft Will Shipley, running back. Not a ton of wear and tear. He was a big-time recruit. He went to Clemson. He can catch the ball. People are calling him McCaffrey light. Okay? I'm excited for him. Saquon Barkley is a machine. He deals with some injuries and all, and we know that they like to utilize multiple different backs. I'm sick and tired of what they did with Kenneth Gainwell last year, so I don't want to deal with that at all. And I think he's going to have some punch. That's how I describe what I think he can be. I think he's got some punch. And in this league, the running back, I view it differently than any other position. You know, I just talked about the 5th rounder. We'll get to some of these wide receivers as well. You got one from A&M. You got one from Florida State. Johnny Wilson, he's 6'6". He's a big-ass body, dude. He's a huge dude, 6'6" wide receiver. So intriguing stuff from a skill set, from body structure, things of that nature when you get taken deep in these rounds. But it's a far trajectory, right? With running back, I don't care if you're undrafted, 7th round, 6th round, 5th round. I don't care. You can plug and play in that position more so than any other position. So a 4th rounder goes to Clemson, who I think can catch the ball out of the backfield and give you a punch. I'm actually expecting an impact. Now, not crazy, but I'm saying in rotation. Some touches, some carries. I think he can see what this line gives him and do something with it. Get downhill, be mean, and play with an edge. What we didn't have last year was fight. It wasn't there. The arrogance, the attitude, flipping the switch to turn it on and be filled with swag. Yo, Cooper Dejean's got swag. I think we should bring back Jeans. You know what I'm saying? I think we got to bring back Jeans. And have a portion of the link just covered in overalls and denim for Cooper Dejean. Coop! He's going to be a fan favorite. Dude's got swag like no other. And Mitchell plays with like professionalism. He makes plays at the ball. His instincts are strong. I don't think he comes with the loudness of personality-wise, but on the field, I think he plays with a bunch of personality. But there's so much out there in Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown, and we're going to play like our hair is on fire. You didn't have that. You did not have that. If anything, they rolled over and died when adversity hit. It's a joke. It's a flat-out joke. Yo, listen to this, though, because sorry, I played it a little too early. When the Eagles called Cooper Dejean and Nick Sirianni gave the phone over to Jeffrey Lurie, take a listen to what Jeffrey Lurie said to him.
All right, man. Listen, I didn't need this last night because this is what I wanted to have happen today.
You're telling me that you have the owner rolling over in the middle of the night, sweating his ass off, thinking of Goop, thinking of jeans. He's in bed. He's squirming around, sweats everywhere, and he goes, I got to get this cat. I got to get this dog. I got to get this game changer. And they sure did. Jumped out in front of the Green Bay Packers. It's just beautiful work. Everything is exciting right now. And I don't know what some of these guys are going to be. I'm not the draft expert guy. I like to react to the professional opinions. There are people who study the tape and study fifth-round prospects, this and that, and that's their thing. Not my thing. I react to their expertise, and I talk about value. Okay, does that match where a lot of these other guys deem him to go? If you're picking someone in the second round that everybody has 6th-round grades on, I will share that opinion, even though I acknowledge that I'm not watching much of North Carolina State offensive line play, for example. You know what I'm saying? So I think based off of what we are informed by the experts and what Howie likes to do, I think this was strong. I really do. You got your offensive lineman late. You got some wide receiver opportunities there. One's like a gadget player, Anais Smith. I believe he's very gadgety. You can put the ball in his hands. He can line up in the slot, and you can get maybe creative with his craft. Maybe that's something that you try and whip up with Kellen Moore. See, now that there's actually someone in mind who's running the offense that understands an NFL strategy and understands X's and O's and creativity, maybe there's something to that. We're going to tamper expectations. I always see this, though, right? Like 48%, and I think I saw 48, but I saw a couple different variables or variations of this. 48% of the NFL is made up of undrafted guys and guys who are picked on day 3. Okay, I see you. I get it. But I would be doing everybody a disservice if I walked in here and told you Johnny Wilson, the 6'6", 6th-round pick wide receiver from Florida State, is an automatic stud. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So just know in a bubble and in a vacuum, it's a far stretch for these late rounders to make it and to make an impact, especially on a team that is prepared to go win a Super Bowl. This isn't, hey, there's plenty of opportunities for guys to fight and let's blossom together to build a culture. It's, no, you fit into this damn culture. You changed the bad culture that happened at the end of last year, but traditionally speaking, you put that Eagles logo on, that crest is on your chest, and there is a way about playing. You do it. You fit in. Let's go. It's not about, hey, we got long-term expectations here. We're trying to win the NFC East today. We're trying to host an NFC Championship game today. We're trying to do it all today. You don't have the let's work with some of these guys. To a degree, yes. There's difference between learning curves and like we're a 3-4 win team, and let's reshape our franchise. We just got a new GM last year, a new head coach last year. They got some draft picks in here. Let's see what we can we get to a 6 win? Can we go from 3 wins to 6 wins and see some excitement out of some of the young ones? You know what I'm saying? That's not where we are with some of these guys. It's you got to do it now, because we're trying to win now. You have to beat out Devontae Parker or another wide receiver who has some NFL experience that you take a flyer on as a 3rd wide receiver. You have to beat out those guys. Good luck. It's hard to do very early on. But I'm excited for everything that they've done. It's hard to be angry. It's hard to be disappointed. It's hard to be mad. You get those 2 guys when you thought that you'd only get 1. And quite frankly, you thought you'd have to trade up to get Mitchell, and you land both of them. Crazy. The 3rd round pick, though, apparently that was a Vic Fangio choosing. He's a big fan of this Jalix Hunt kid. It's a prospecty. Now, that's one that is like very raw, very, very raw. It reminds me of Dejean Taylor couldn't play football because of his religion on certain nights of the week, and he was an athletic linebacker. I don't feel comfortable with Howie choosing those guys. Doesn't mean he's going to miss every time. You'd think eventually one actually pans out, but I don't love the prospecty guys. Now, apparently, this kid is like a man against boys with some of his tape, but the school that he went to, nobody even heard of. You look at the schedule, no one even knows some of the teams that they played, so it's hard to truly rationalize what it will be. But he's a big dude with a pretty crazy skill set. I just don't trust the project stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that I think Howie Roseman does phenomenal at. Maybe Vic Fangio does, though, and that's the difference, right? All right, with that, let's take some anytime hotline calls and react to this final day of the draft and everything that happened.
Somehow, someway, Howie Roseman walks away with the top 2 corners in the draft, especially when we badly need corners. Bro, building the statue already. He's in his bag. Honestly, give Howie Roseman the permanent GM key. Oh, I'm just kidding on that. But not permanent, but you know what I mean. He's a dog. Go Birds.
He is a dog, and quite frankly, he does have the keys. I mean, come on, Jeffrey Lurie's not canning this guy. And even during the downtime, Jalen Reagor, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and all the madness that happened, Jeffrey Lurie stayed with them. And he stood with them and said, this is my guy, and he really pulled his head out of his ass, not an ass, not anybody's ass, his own ass. His head was so far up his own ass, he couldn't get out of his own way. But with that, let's be transparent. I will be watching Arnold, cornerback from Alabama, just as heavily as Mitchell, because when you have both chances, or you have both guys, and you have the chance to draft either one, and you pick Mitchell, which I don't have a problem with today, but I'm not the expert. I'm not the scouting department. I'm not the general manager. I don't mind it. There were a lot of experts that deemed Mitchell to be the best cornerback in the league or in the draft. And if that's the case and you feel that way too, you select him. But if Arnold becomes an absolute stud and Mitchell's just okay, that falls on the lap of Howie. Then we start to criticize. So I will be watching Arnold. SEC, Alabama, and that doesn't mean everything. Josh Jobe played at Alabama. Doesn't mean everything. Someone got mad at me, by the way, the other day because I got so pumped up for Mitchell, right? Quinyon Mitchell's here. And I said, stop with the Eli Ricks. Stop with the Josh Jobes. And then the reaction was, how dare you disrespect Eli Ricks? He was put in a position to fail. This and that. Dude. Stop. Stop taking it so seriously, all right? It's not about actually kicking these guys out of the organization. It's just about the idea of going to get a real CB1. I'm tired of 7 undrafted guys that played at big schools and hoping one works. I want serious, legit superstar talent. That's what I want. And you got that. So, come on. Stop getting your panties in a bunch here. And with Cooper Dejean, he could play everywhere. Inside, outside, safety. Could do it all. He's going to be a Swiss Army knife. I love it. He could play all around the field. Super exciting. Let's take another call.
Yo, bros. This is Shannon. Straight out of Florida. Born and raised in Philly. Go Birds.
That's right.
You know, I think Blankenship might want to watch out. I know he was shaking a bit. Saw that draft.
You think Reed Blankenship goes, uh-oh, when it comes to the cocky white boy, that you got yourself some competition in Cooper Dejean? I think that's very possible, yeah. Unless you're actually thinking Reed Blankenship ain't playing no more type of thing with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, with Cooper Dejean. Now Reed Blankenship ain't playing. But I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I don't trust Avonte Maddox to stay healthy. So at some point, Avonte Maddox won't be on the field. And whether it's C.J. who plays nickel or whether it's Dejean who plays nickel, I think Reed Blankenship finds the field way more. If anybody should be shaking in the boots, it's got to be James Bradbury. Anybody shaking in the boots, it's Bradbury. All right, I'm out of here. I thought maybe for a half a second there was a chance due to my contract and my obligation to the contract and the money that they can't get rid of me. But maybe with the talent that's here now, I don't have a chance. Let's see what Howie does on that front, but I'd be pretty disappointed if James Bradbury's still here and they're giving it a shot because they don't want to deal with any ramifications of money and this and that. It just ain't it, dude. It just ain't it. You draft these corners. I want these guys to play. I want the defense to have a new brand, a new identity. It will under Vic Fangio, just from a general sense of the scheme. Without Matt Patricia here, Sean Desai here, it's inevitable that it will change just with Vic Fangio's presence, even though a lot of these guys do buy into the philosophy of Vic Fangio as a whole, but Vic Fangio is the one that created this monster. He's the one that is at the top of it all. So he does it to a T, while others try to duplicate what he does what he does. So I want it all to be different. I do. Last year, it just sucked the life out of you, and Bradbury doesn't have anything left in the tank, and you get this new, young, spry, bunch of confidence, bunch of arrogance, bunch of swag, bunch of energy. I love it. I love it. The defense can have this identity to it, right? They didn't have an identity at all last year. Well, their identity was there. It was get beat up and let Drew Lock go 90-plus yards on you in Seattle to win a football game. Gross. Let's take one more and wrap things up.
Hey, bros. I think we have a franchise GM, bro. I really do. Like a Lombardi type, bro. I'm serious. Because Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper Dejean, give me Jeremiah Trotter. I swear to God, this is gonna be. I didn't like, Smith last year, and I thought Jalen Carter had a really bad, attitude problems. But if we get those three guys, I'm telling you, it's gonna be good, bro.
It's nice to see everybody have the love for Howie. He's been through a lot, man. He's been through a lot. He's been through a ton of hate, a ton of sometimes irrational hate, sometimes warranted hate, but he's been put on blast, and he's responded very well. Very, very well. We got callers now saying we have a franchise GM. Think about it. That is a complete 180 for the guy, and it's nice. It's nice this time of year to know. And do you know how important it is? We'll dive into this probably a little bit deeper and more intensely at another time. But when A.J. Brown got his contract, in a salary cap league, one of the most important details of any contract is how much the person's getting paid, right? How can we allocate money elsewhere after we sign this guy? It's GM 101. I don't ever look at contracts because they don't matter. But they do matter. But you have someone who makes it not matter. I got buddies from around the country here when I played hockey. They all live in different states, Minnesota, Boston, Detroit, here and there, right? And they all hit me up when it's football season. Oh, yeah, you got to pay Jalen. Now you're going to be screwed. Oh, you paid 2 wide receivers. Now you're going to get screwed. Do your research. Go look at Jalen Hurts' cap hit this year. Yeah, but in 5, you restructure it. It will never reach $40+ million cap hit. It's just not happening. $60 million cap hits. It's not happening. Howie Roseman makes money disappear on the books. So in a world where it's so important to know where your finances are and to really allocate the money properly, we have a GM that makes it non-existent. Think about the advantage that is. I didn't look for 1 second what Devontae makes. I didn't look for 1 second what A.J. Brown makes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And it does. Like, it really does. But it doesn't. That's how you know you got a special weapon in your hands. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for kicking it with me. I will talk to you guys all on the next one.